Let's go down to ringside with the voices of PCW Ultra, Todd Kennelly and Christian Cole.
Ladies and gentlemen, this contest scheduled for a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first, he makes his way to the ring from Cincinnati, Ohio. Weighs 222 pounds. He is the Promise Prince, Brian Pillman Jr.
Thus far, it's been a night of big PCW Ultra debuts, but how about this? Brian Pillman Jr., second-generation star, and he is just that, partner, a star.
Brian Pillman Jr. walks into here with a resume of his own, much like our women's Ultra champion, Tessa Blanchard. He comes from a long lineage of pro wrestling greatness, but Brian Pillman has proven himself at MLW, and tonight he's going to need to do it again, as he has a huge test in front of him. Just about to make his way to the ring. Well, still, I would call him the returning Douglas James. I mean, took a year off the company, a former ultralight champion.
His opponent from Los Angeles, weighing 191 pounds, relentless Douglas James.
The relentless one was just that, to your point, in his rehab of what many thought was going to be a career-ending hip injury. Return at Anniversary 2K19 in a match for the Ultralight Championship. We saw him again at Wrestle Summit in that big Wrestling Revolver Scramble match. And what a one-on-one encounter we have here.
Doug James looking absolutely shredded on this night and every night since his injury. A lot of men will face catastrophic injuries. In the case of Douglas James, it was a dislocated hip and the ligament damage that comes with that. And frankly, a lot of guys would take an injury like that and it could mess with your mind. Right when you celebrate mind power, the injury could certainly get in one's head and ruin their career. For Douglas James, he just got better.
Doesn't take anything for granted anymore, does Douglas James. Trying to take the slight shortcut, get the jump on his opponent was Brian Pillman Jr. Knows every trick in the book. Douglas James, a lot of heart. Pillman, a member of the New Era Heart Foundation in MLW.
Absolutely. And when you go around with guys like that, when your uncles are the Heart Foundation, you know, when you're coming up in that type of wrestling, with Stu Hart running the dungeon and everything in between, and the influences that have trickled down. But to me, the story Pillman Jr. rather, is the fact that having lost so many family members to tragedy and to be able to succeed through all of that and to show the wrestling world that he's his own man and can do this on his own. I mean, he really is. So tragically has been left on his own in this professional wrestling world to survive on his own. He's had a great success.
Tragedy to triumph, indeed. Nice counter there, though, by Douglas James, who wraps up Pillman Jr. into the cover. And Pillman Jr. here in PCW Ultra isn't going to have Teddy Hart. He's not going to have Davey Boy Smith Jr. flanking him one-on-one with the longest reigning ultralight champion in company history. Beautiful roll-up now by Pillman Jr.
That was beautiful. Controlled the wrist as he rolled through. Only able to get one, but just showing those technical mat skills. You know, his father was very good as a mat-based wrestler as well. A lot of people remember Brian Pillman with Steve Austin with the gun and remember him being, you know, that kind of crazy type of guy. You never knew what Pillman was going to give you, but when you watch Pillman in between the ropes, he was a magician in there, and Pillman Jr., the apple, doesn't fall far from the tree.
Flying Brian, an incredible cruiserweight competitor, and wow, Pillman Jr. got driven face first into the mat.
It was actually quite innovative by Doug James. He tried to duck a leapfrog. James went for the drop kick and was able to put a double knees down on Pillman Jr.
Pillman Jr. out of the way of the attempted dive, but can't get out of the way of that super kick by DJ. And again, all the body weight down, just drove him face first with counters with the uppercut. So still, he was able to clear the cobwebs there, partner.
Speaking of driving the body weight down, look at just the complete physique change of Douglas James as he's in trouble now. Loopy in his eyes, on his shoulders now, but able to pull the right one up at the last second.
Pillman Jr. had a fantastic match recently with another PCW Ultra fixture in Hammerstone. That match took place at MLW. There was 6 degrees of separation.
Absolutely. Was Kevin Bacon there?
I don't believe so. He should have been, though. It was a great match. Well, he's getting foot loose right now as Pillman Jr., though, with these shots.
Pillman Jr., yeah, I saw it. Pillman Jr. is such a throwback, Todd. Your corny puns are distracting me. You know, Pillman Jr. is a guy who can really do anything, but he's a throwback. He's a tough guy. He's going to punch you in the mouth, and he'll apply a submission out of nowhere. And he's outsizing James, and look at that beautiful power slam. Able to use James's momentum from the rope and put him on his back, but only for 2.
To your point, Christian, Douglas James, a dynamic striker when he takes to the air, but there was the size and strength discrepancy there as Douglas was taken to the air looking for a big strike, got caught in midair into that beautiful power slam by Pillman Jr. Big, wide open shot there as Douglas James doing what he's done so often in his career, trying to fight from underneath. Not looking good right now.
Just an all-out assault from James. To James, rather, who gets to a vertical base and really doesn't know where he is. His legs are weak. Just trying to fight back as James.
Pillman Jr. was looking for that dire promise. He had the wrist control. He's looking for that big neck breaker. Nice counter by James, though. But again, the physical attack, the onslaught, as you mentioned, has been the difference maker. Upstairs with the enziguri to the back of the dome there by Douglas James. Ebb and flow with this one now, partner. Ooh, what a shot.
Just runs right into the corner. And Brian Pillman Jr. is G'ing up for something.
His dad spent a lot of time in Japan. That was a serious lariat, and now having some fun.
There it is. That's that charisma of Pillman Jr. on display.
That's in his blood, that is for sure. Born and bred into this great sport. Douglas James, perhaps a home field advantage. Again, a long reigning ultralight champion. Douglas James beat many of the best in the ultralight division, like Zack Sabre Jr., Leo Rush. Nice shots there. Douglas James, MMA background as well, but runs right into a big shot.
Douglas James has done it all. He's a 5-tool athlete, a former champion here in this company, and a guy who's making noise, including winning a championship up north recently. And Douglas James is a very successful competitor who is at the best shape of his career. But he's going up against the guy who, as Todd said earlier, he bleeds this industry. And he's in a bad spot here, especially with that potential suplex attempt to the outside. We don't want to see that.
James catches him upstairs. There, called the audible for the suicide dive, and does again, scores with the forearm.
James really giving him those forearm shivers with that middle and bottom rope. 3 times in a row goes Douglas James, and Pillman is searching for a safe space.
Pillman felt some of those on the gridiron, just like his father. Both guys excellent football players, turned pro wrestlers, fantastic athleticism in the Pillman family, but now being put to the test. And now it's DJ that's one step ahead.
Sort of a modified version of a GTS there. Elects to go to the rib cage.
Interesting, turned it into a body kick. Oh, little receipt there with the lariat into the cover. Oh, that was close. That hand was coming down.
Doug James knows exactly what it takes to win a championship here in PCW Ultra. Doug James knows exactly what it takes to be relentless, to never give up. And Doug James looks to do it again today within the confines of this match. But he eats a huge kick.
Cross body, pulls through though, the momentum took him over. Nice counter there by Douglas James. Who pays for it? Spinning back fist, coming right across the shoulder blades into the German suplex. That sleeping hero German suplex brings only a count of 2.
Jeremy Marcus shaking his head, assuring the entire crowd that it was not 3. It was so close. And Pillman Jr. frustrated now, gritting his teeth, looking under the ring. What is he grabbing for here?
Looking for some sort of equalizer, I guess just frustrated that he couldn't put Douglas James away with one of his signatures, that big German suplex, but we don't want to see this thing thrown out. This is not all violence is legal. That comes later on.
He swings but misses. But James looks furious. He's fired up and he has that steel chair in his hand. But Douglas James, will he show Pillman Jr. mercy?
Flirt with disaster here. Referee Jeremy Marcus in there. And the fans might not like it, but quite frankly, that's going to preserve this matchup and allow it to continue. Now the ref is down. Look out here. Double underhooks. Roll up the other way. Creates distance super kick.
Douglas James lands that super kick right on the side of the face. You can see the head jolting of Pillman Jr. and Douglas James scales to the top turnbuckle. Look at Douglas James, my God, flying, but no ref. No ref.
Well, the crowd here, the faithful counting along here at a 7 or 8 count right now. Douglas James up in the stars, 6 1/4 of them. 6 1/4 star frog splash. This thing would have been done.
But there are no moral victories here at PCW Ultra. A 9 count as Jeremy Marcus, our official, tries to come to, means nothing to James. Oh, look at this.
Here comes, he's looking for
No, oh, he got it!
Dire promise, neck breaker.